Hey everybody, welcome to Real Life Sci-Fi with Wade and Willie. I'm Wade.
Willie.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Real Life Sci-Fi. This is a podcast about paranormal and contemporary mythology, and we are welcoming aboard the SSRLSF one of our favorite guests, bit of a wild card. He's a writer and historian, and his book, The Dirt That Feeds You, is available, I'm guessing, online.
Yeah. You guys got
It's
the
Krocky.
copies.
It's Krocky Meshkin. Hey, and
Whoop,
thanks for the
whoop.
copies of the books, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope Erin got one too. I was hoping to make
she
her
did.
live show. I'm coming to you
Yeah,
guys
go on.
live via satellite tonight. So
Well,
I'm living that solar life. Beaming up to the sky, beaming back down to you guys. I am next to a remote wilderness. And the things that I'm going to reveal tonight, let me tell you guys, the past few times I've been on the show, I've had a visit from the Men in Black. And
Ooh.
I feel like tonight I finally found a remote corner of the world where I can reveal this information and I can just feel good about it. You know, no visit from the Men in Black.
I mean, yeah, obviously you will get no visit from the Men in Black because this podcast is not popular enough for them to ever be on the radar. So you can basically say anything you want here. I'm going to kill the president.
That's not true.
What else? What
Well,
else?
now we got their attention, Wade. We got their attention now. They are definitely listening.
Satire.
We've
parody,
said that
satire,
a lot of
parody.
times. Lowercase
Homage,
p. Lowercase p.
Present, the present. I'm going to kill the present and I'm going to talk about the future.
What is this book, man? Is this a novel?
This is a novel. It's a fictional novel.
Okay.
And it's based on my life experience. The novel is a historical fictional novel. It takes place in the year 2012. And so it's a lot of my experience of living in a big city like Los Angeles, then moving to the middle of nowhere, the wilderness, and sort of condensing a lot of my experiences into a fictional character, fictional story with a big climax leading up to December 21st, 2012.
Nice. No,
Is there a historical significance to December 21st?
What?
Wait,
Is that the
what
is
kind of
that
show
the-
is this gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
tonight?
That's the
I am
that
gonna.
the-
I'm still determined to win you over on a lot of this
Yeah, that-
trippy dippy stuff.
that's the end of the Mayan calendar.
Okay. Yeah, well,
You
2012.
could've
That's what I
guessed it.
thought.
Which, yeah, I honestly, I'm happy you guys got the book. I love plugging the book. This is available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and if you got the Kindle Unlimited, you can just pick it up for free on there. But tonight, I've got something so juicy, guys. I cannot talk about myself. I cannot be wasting time gloating about my own projects, guys. I've done deep research. There's a reason I have not been on the show for a couple of years. I've been digging so deep into
Jesus Christ. Before you get to that, we do have to do the wow scale. Okay.
Wow.
And then we'll get into all of the things. We won't talk about you at all, I swear.
Are you a Wade or are you a Willy?
Okay, the WOW scale stands for Wade or Willy. It's a 5-question quiz. At the end of the quiz, I will give you a score anywhere between 0 and 5. If you're more of a 5, you're more of a Willy. If you're more of a 0, you're more of a Wade. Are you ready to be Wade on the WOW scale?
absolutely.
First question, 3-part. Do you believe in aliens? If so, have they visited Earth? If so, have they visited Earth in the last 300 years?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Second question, ghosts?
Absolutely. Absolutely believe in ghosts. Yeah.
You got any ghost stories?
I remember sharing some of those ghost stories on a previous episode, and I absolutely believe in spirits. You know, I believe energy lives on, and you'll feel this especially in places that were very significant places. You know, you visit some ruins or you visit an ancient structure or something like that. I definitely believe spirits and energy lives on.
Okay, I definitely want to talk to you more about that, but now is not the time. Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's a tough one. We've seen so many animals go extinct. Some of these big ones like woolly mammoth, it's possible there was a Bigfoot kind of creature around. I'm on the fence with Bigfoot.
Interesting. Okay. Psychics.
Psychics, I believe, have their moments. They have their moments, but people that are out there doing it as a job, like a 9 to 5, like you got to imagine, you know, they're probably just Googling you. They look at your name, they Google you, and they get all the info on you. And then you walk in and they're going to like surprise you. So I work at a glamping place where people come to camp near the Grand Canyon. And I'm standing there and a coworker
Wait, I'm sorry. And glamping is like when you bring every electricity thing that you need with you, right?
we actually keep it very simple. It's a large company that I work for. So it's glamorized camping. That's what glamping is standing for. Essentially, it's you have a tent, but it looks more like a Civil War, like Abraham Lincoln style tent with like canvas and a wood platform.
Sure. And a little map in the middle where all the battles are happening.
Yeah, it's a full experience. You never know when the Confederate Army is coming up on you.
I killed a lot of people in those tents in Skyrim.
I would laugh if that company also hired people to dress up in bear suits and walk by.
Dude, it would not be hard to do that. That could be a Halloween special.
That would be fun. You should do that. That's such a good haunted camping for Halloween is such a fucking good
Little
idea.
spooktacular. So
Yeah.
the reason I brought it up, I'm standing there, a coworker's on their phone, and I just turn to her and I say, "What's your dream car?" And her jaw drops and she says, "What?" And she turns her phone around and she was looking at cars on her phone. And I believe there's these moments where you just like you hit a wavelength. But after that experience, I'm not going to sign up and be like, "Oh, I'm a psychic now and I'm taking on clients." I definitely believe
I
there
did the
are.
same thing. I totally understand. I texted a friend of mine who had never texted, right? I just was like, oh, I feel like texting this guy. Texted him. It happened to be his birthday that day. But then I was also like shortchanged a little bit because I don't know if he believed that I didn't know it was his birthday. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
thinking of him.
I think in that realm, I feel like there is a flow of energy / information that we can all tap into. But as soon as you are aware of it, then you stop flowing. And so it's like you can to attune yourself to the people around you and the people that you know.
It's kind of like realizing you're in a dream and then you wake up from the dream. It's like an involuntary response to it, right? Like you can't harness it.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like just a sense that we just don't really know how to use, but it's like we do have the sense of connected consciousness.
All right, last question. Do you believe in the simulation theory? Do you believe that we're living in some sort of simulation?
I have difficulty with simulation theory. I definitely have considered it. I've looked into it. There are moments, again, there's moments in life where you're like, "Oh my God, this shooting star streamed across the sky at the exact moment that I'd said the word shooting star," or like weird stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Some of the issues I think I get to with simulation theory is like, a lot of guys like Elon Musk talk about this. And if you're a baller, if you're a billionaire, it's very easy to be like, "Oh, I manifested all of this into my life."
Especially when you grew up with that money and you didn't really do anything to.
So yeah, I think you got to consider the working class family. Like think about the poor worker who's like,
Yeah, but don't you listen, not to I'm sorry to cut you off, but like you're a guy who has like lived a bunch of different lives. Haven't you ever been on your last straw and then like something breaks and now you can pay rent or whatever? Like I feel like that happens to me constantly. And it's like I don't know if it's me manifesting it or if it's just like a matter of time until I'm employable again. Like maybe there's some weird stigma where they just see me and can't hire me because they fucking hate me.
it's true. It's, I'm not dead yet. I'm still here. I'm still thriving, through all the highs and lows of life. I think there's moments where I would believe in simulation theory.
But overall, no.
to me, it's just another repackaged version of everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
And
fate.
everything happens for a reason it's a positive outlook on life. It's an optimistic outlook on life. And I remind myself that every day. Everything happens for a reason. Because if you don't think that way, you're going to go down a spiral and you're going to be depressed and you're going to think, woe is me. And
so it's just people repackaging religion and going like, well, we don't believe in God, but like, this could be a simulation. What about that?
that's actually not a bad way to put it. It's almost like, hey, atheists, we have a religion for you.
Yeah.
See, my problem with that, like if you believe in fate or in the same vein, everything happens for a reason. I feel like that can be a bad thing if you're just like, if you can take that and apply it to like to make you not act. Well, I didn't deserve it. As long as it doesn't make you sit back and wait for things to happen to you. Great.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think like everything happens for a reason is more like, well, I didn't get that job, I'm fucked. But then like that job would have sucked anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Rejection is nature's protection.
Is that a tattoo that you have?
Maybe.
All right. So I'm going to call you a 3 bordering on a 4.
That seems pretty consistent.
Do you want to tell us about your shed that you're currently in? And are you honestly, is it like, do you have a satellite dish that has internet? Is that what's happening right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I use Starlink. I'm not wired into anything.
You
Essentially
better not attack Russia because Elon will turn it off if you attack Russia.
He has made it clear. Yes. But yeah, it's quite fast. I basically took the dive roughly like 2 years ago. So fully solar and satellite as far as my phone calls, my internet, everything for about 2 years now. Rain collection off the roof. I'm living that
nice.
whole,
I was going to ask you about rain collection. Like you have to go on.
Oh, Hurricane Hillary was a blessing for me. I got
what's
hundreds of
Arizona's
gallons.
policy on that? Because in certain states, it's illegal to collect rainwater.
Arizona's policy is you cannot block a watershed. So I couldn't build something that's going to be where water flows, like a wash. If you can see, they actually have maps they will give you. But yeah, this cabin, Wade, it's not a shed. This is not a shed. I did not go to Home Depot and buy one of these sheds.
It looks like one of those tough sheds that the guys used to drive motorcycles on.
So I can't. Wade, come on. I built this with my bare hands. Give me some credit.
Oh yeah, you can barely tell.
It's a work in progress. This episode is going to be historic because you guys are actually capturing my cabin in the middle of construction here. So you can see I'm doing wood paneling and you can see the insulation in there. I got that R23 insulation. All right. I'm not messing around. We had the second snowiest winter in recorded history last winter.
I don't know what that is. Is that the Pink Panther insulation?
No. I'm not messing with synthetics. You got to realize I'm a hippy dippy, organic,
what is it?
non-GMO kind of dude. This is
it
rock
fertilizer
wool.
And cow hair?
God damn.
Listen, I know what we're in store for, so I got to get my punches in early.
It's not a bad idea though. That could be a business. We can go into business on that. I'm using rock wool. This is that rock wool. So this is actually spun basalt. So volcanic rock, you spin basalt and you get a rock wool. It's actually a wool. I'm over explaining it. It's a wool.
What the fuck? No, that's pretty interesting.
And it's an hour. I'm an hour away from any of these stores. So this has been a big project for me. It's a dream to essentially, I'm looking out the window right now at stars. Like I have one of the darkest skies
nice
over my head.
Oh God. Listen, I want to get to the topic and I want to talk about all this, but I do have one question.
Yes.
How do you, because I'm like at the precipice of a fucking unknowing cavern, right? I'm panicking. I have no idea what's in store for me. I love the idea of Henry David Thoreauing it like you are. I'm way too lazy to ever do that. But what happened in your brain where you were like, yeah, I can do this? And like, is there an ethos to it? Or are you just like I don't know. Explain it to me.
So it ties into my work. I'm right now. I work seasonally, so I get the winters off, but I work as operations manager at this glamping place. The people come in, and these people are paying anywhere from $250 to $600 a night to stay there. They get this tent, and they got running water toilet. They got a pool change shower, but it's a very simple setup. And looking at that, I started to think I could do this. I owe a lot to YouTube, and I owe a lot to the era that we live in. Without the technology like solar panels, the batteries, being able to just go on Amazon and order batteries and like do this stuff and then click on a YouTube video and how do I set it up?
Sure.
I couldn't have done this 10 years ago. So to me, it looked like this opportunity that I could just jump on. And it's definitely, it's got its ups and downs, right? Because you can rent an apartment and your landlord should be taking care of everything for you, all the maintenance, everything. Once you start building your own place, there's I always have a list of like, I still want to build a porch or, it's a work in progress.
But mentally, how did you get to that? How were you, what, did something break in your brain or what happened? Was this a come to Jesus moment?
It essentially, a lot of this is explained in my novel.
Sorry.
Just kidding. It's a fictional novel. All characters are fictional, not based on real people. But yeah, I mean, my story was I left LA.
Is there characters named Blade and Blilly in it?
What is that?
Us, it's me and Willy. Blade and Blilly.
Oh, Blade and Blilly.
Then I went on this podcast.
They are the mentor.
The shit out of them.
The mentor characters. Look, I'm not gonna punk you guys, but we're using valuable
Fool me
time.
once. No, I know. Okay, we are.
Hang on.
You're
Can
right.
I throw in one more thing?
Yes, please. Go
before
on.
we get into it. So, can I mention I did push for this topic. So this topic, I think Willy is going to know a lot on this. A lot of things I don't know. I don't know where you're at, Wade. I think this is going to be fun, and
I don't even know the topic.
Okay, excellent. Essentially, my work. So we get people like Neil Young has come to camp with us multiple times with Daryl Hannah. They drive out in an electric car from LA. We've had Andre 3000 come to see us. So one of our biggest stars, we had Jimmy Kimmel come stay with us.
Do you take pictures with these celebrities? Just curious, like in the realm of being off the grid, are you still struck?
No, I'm totally struck. I was starstruck. Gerard Way came, and I ended up being the one to check him in.
Who is that?
Lead singer of My Chemical Romance, and he created Umbrella Academy. These people.
The comic book?
Yeah, he created the comic book, and then the show
I didn't know
based on
that.
I don't know. Crazy.
At this location, I do Star Talks. So I'm essentially the local astrologer. I started working there part-time in 2019. And over the years, this was a job where originally I was working 2 to 10 p.m. and guests would come in. And a lot of people would arrive late. They would drive from LA. They would be typical LA folks that are hitting every stop along the way, and then they miss out on the restaurant is closed, the musicians have stopped playing music for the night, and they show up at like 10 p.m. and you're taking them out to their tent, and you got to show them everything because it is insanely dark. One of the darkest skies. This is a 1 to 2 on the Bortle dark sky scale. Nerdy stuff.
Sure.
But
no, we don't get it.
when
context clues.
When they're going through their luggage and everything, I would stand there and I'd be looking up at the night sky, and I saw this night after night, and it brought me back in to essentially what all of our ancestors were looking at. No matter who you are, our ancestors, instead of going inside, hopping on their phone, clicking on Netflix, every night they're watching the night sky. And this really brought me around. So to kind of button this all up, I've been doing that for a couple of years. I've done tons of research on the night sky. As I started to notice things, you guys can imagine my personality. I didn't go to school for astrology, but my personality starting to learn about astrology and learning about it and my take on it, mixing in with that trippy, dippy stuff that we're going to start to get into.
Well, let me stop you there. Willy, why don't you hit us with that topic?
Tonight on Real Life Sci-Fi. The Dogone Tribe of West Africa believe that Sirius had 2 companion stars And they knew this before the modern world knew this. They claim it's because they were from there and they had a history from there. Is there any truth to this? Did we get bamboozled and some scientists that stayed with them gave them all this information? Or did they know this and there could be a chance that they could be from this star system? Let's get into this and Krocky's experiences with this tonight on Real Life Sci-Fi. I'll just give a quick blanket thing real quick. So Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. We found out at some point that it actually was two stars, Sirius A and Sirius B. And it's called the dog star because it's the brightest star of Canis Major. It's what the three stars of Orion's belt point at, basically. This Dogone Tribe, in 1931, this French anthropologist, Marcel Breuil, whatever, stayed with him. And they were telling him that Sirius was two parts, and the other star, though smaller, was really heavy. And it's crazy how much more truth there is to this, because it actually is a white dwarf star. So like a teaspoon of this star would weigh like 1,000,000 tons or something crazy like that. It is one of the most dense things out there that isn't a black hole. They also had drawings of how the orbit of Sirius A and B went, and that was very accurate. And they celebrate every 50 years, even though the orbit is actually 60 years, but they celebrate every 50 years. And I think it's because that is when it lines up with us. Yeah, one teaspoon of Sirius B would weigh 1 ton, something crazy. So there's a lot of other crazy things about this, and people have tried to debunk it. And but Krocky, you brought this up as a topic, and you have done research on this. Where are you coming from?
I want to know where you guys are coming from.
Well, so far all I'm hearing is facts. So
Willy's dropping all the facts. But Wade, what do you know about Sirius?
I don't know any. I'm maybe the dumbest person there is. Like I feel like I only learned of Sirius the star when Sirius the satellite radio company happened.
Okay. What is the logo of Sirius Radio?
It basically looks like the Wi-Fi symbol. It's a satellite.
True, but every company was like, "Oh, we got to simplify our logo."
Oh, it's a dog. Yeah.
Simplify. Yes, it is
dog
a
star.
dog. The dog star,
Right.
Sirius.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna circle back on some of the stuff Willy threw at us. So he's throwing a lot out there. Essentially, you guys got to imagine I'm doing speeches about the night sky, and I have started to zone in on Sirius, and I'm doing these speeches for people from all over the world, different countries, everything. Essentially, I'll ask people what's the brightest star in the sky, and they'll hit me with the sun, and I'll be like, dude, yes, the sun is the brightest star in the sky. But as Willy said, Sirius, if we're not counting the sun, Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. It is the one.
Yeah, but it's two.
Well, yeah. So what Willy's getting into is the Dogone Tribe, the fascinating tribe.
Where is the Dogone Tribe, and like from what era?
They live in Mali. So this is basically south of Timbuktu. I was listening to your episode with Acosta. What you guys were getting into with that is like these are reflections of the night sky, of things they saw. So the Dogone Tribe talks about Sirius, and somehow without telescopes or anything, it wasn't until 1844 that it was European astrologers, figured out that it was a binary system. The Dogone, like Willy said, they believe that there are 3 stars. However, modern science has not found a 3rd star yet.
Some people think that our star is the 3rd star. We actually are in a trinary with them. But go on. Sirius A, Sirius B is about 8.6 light years away. So it is really far for it to be a trinary system. 8.6 light years.
Do these 2 stars, because you said they had diagrams of how they orbited and stuff, do the 2 stars orbit around one another?
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like
the bigger, less dense one orbits around the smaller, more dense one.
Yeah, it's kind of like though when you look at orbits of stars and whatnot, we've always had such an elementary version of it. If you were to look at our solar system, the sun doesn't sit in the middle. It actually wobbles with Jupiter, like everything
yeah.
relates to it. So there was a little wobble in there too. But
Right.
I will say I've always heard this little stat, and it always blew me away. In sometime in the 80s, and I can't find the proof of this, but I heard this, that they had discovered that when Sirius A and Sirius B line up with us, that it affects our time, and we lose fractions of a second on that day. And I'm like, that is fascinating, because it's probably true. It's like we've all lined up, our gravity are lined up in such a way that we affect each other's time. And this is 8.6 light years away. So it's like, if you believe in astrology and you think that alignments have a play.
8.6. Wait, 8. What's 8 plus 6? 8.6.
Wait, hang on. I know that
it's simple math.
No, I know, but I know that you're leading to something. But before you do that, I just need clarification. I thought 8.6 was the difference between the Sirius A and B. It's not. It's between us and
us to them.
Okay.
So it's very close. That in space talk, that's very close to us, which
14.
Is and
right?
what's 1 plus 4?
5.
And if you were gonna draw a star, how do most people draw a star?
5 points.
Ooh. I
1,
told
2,
you
3.
guys. I'm bringing the fire tonight.
That's some fucking number 23 shit. Call up Jim Carrey. We got the sequel.
Wade, you're a sports guy, right?
Sweating bullets over here. I'm a sports guy. Yeah, sure, a little bit.
Bullets, yeah, like the Washington Bullets. That was the original name before they became.
Yeah, now they're the Wizards, and Wizards are magical, and therefore Sirius is magic.
But who? Where am I trying to go with this? So
I know where you're going. Let me get there first. Who was the greatest NBA basketball player of all time?
LeBron James. Michael Jordan.
What was
ironically, they both wore the same number
for a time. LeBron changed.
Yeah, it was too much. It was a little too much.
Wait, what is the song that the Chicago Bulls introed themselves out to?
Dude, Willie,
every time they won the championship.
You're reading my mind, Willie. Okay, yes.
When they won a world championship?
No.
I mean,
every time they would walk out on the floor. What Willie has the question of the night. When the Chicago Bulls.
I don't know the name of it.
Yeah. The song is called Sirius.
Okay. I will reserve judgment. What does that mean?
Well, that song was by the Alan Parsons Project. It was released on the 1982 album "Eye in the Sky." Eye in the Sky. So
was that spelled with an I or EYE?
EYE. So back to these Dogone. The Dogone worship this star Sirius. Now we also have the ancient Egyptians. So the ancient Egyptians, Sirius. So we're still in Africa, but there's extreme Sirius worship going on. In ancient Egypt, the brightest star in the sky marked their new year, essentially. Sirius was what their calendars were based around for ancient Egypt. You guys have heard of the dog days of summer, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So what does that mean?
It's hot. It's very hot, and you pant like a dog.
The dog days of summer go all the way back to ancient Egypt. Now, remember, Sirius is the dog star. Sirius XM, the logo is a dog, the original logo.
Yeah.
When Sirius would line up with the sun, the ancient Egyptians believed it was giving extra heat to the sun. It was making the sun even hotter. So you're on the right track, that it made the days hotter. And they also believed it made the weather more chaotic. So this is the intro essentially to the monsoon season in ancient Egypt, which lines up perfectly with the monsoon in Arizona. Our monsoon starts in July. It goes August. It's just kind of ending right now. They knew as Sirius was getting closer to the sun, and I know both of you guys are Scorpios, right?
Yeah.
So this time of year, we can see Scorpio. Scorpio is one of the most prominent constellations in the night sky right now, but it is inching. As I look at the night sky every night, it is inching closer and closer to the sun. When it lines up with the sun, that will be around all of our birthdays, all of us being Scorpios. So they could watch Sirius getting closer and closer to the sun. Eventually, it's so close to the sun, they're no longer seeing it. But that was important to them because that allowed them to realize that the monsoon is about to begin.
And monsoons is just water, right? It's just a fuckload of water dumping down on you from out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, a monsoon is a more of a seasonal event, whereas the thunderstorm is the daily event. So a monsoon leading into a monsoon season means there's going to be a bunch of thunderstorms. Traditionally, the dog days of summer begin on July 3rd and they last 40 days. For 40 days, we are giving something up. We are not able to see Sirius. So
Would it be
the dog,
40 nights also?
if there's 40 days of the dog days of summer beginning on July 3rd, what would be the peak?
23.
23.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
The brightest star in the NBA.
Uh-huh. In the 90s and 80s.
Mostly 90s, absolutely. 6 championships. Did this happen by chance? Like, is this some bizarre synchronicity? I guess what I'm kind of questioning is like, how much power does Sirius have on our world, on our people?
Well, I think your answer is apparent, right? A lot. I would say he just liked the number 23. But when I say that, then you could be like, well, because Sirius told him to, right?
He actually wore 23 because his number was 45 and his brother was wearing 45. And so he just cut it in half.
And he wore 45 when he came back
Exactly.
after he had to sit a year out because of his gambling debts.
Double Sirius, binary
There is
star.
a NBA hoops card of, I believe it's Scott Skiles, where he's wearing the 45 and he's in the background of the picture. It's pretty cool.
Wait, Scott Skiles played for Minnesota though.
Yeah, but in Scott Skiles' photo, Jordan's like waiting for a rebound. It's the only card with him with the 45 on.
Oh, you mean Jordan is wearing 45, not Skiles.
Sorry.
Without going like way off the deep end just yet, you got to realize the way you get to finding Sirius. Sirius, it stands out a lot because it's very bright. Essentially, the constellation looks just like a dog, and Sirius would be sitting kind of where the collar of the dog would be. Like it almost feels like a collar, that like a metal collar that's flashing. But you follow, Willie said this earlier, you follow the 3 stars of Orion's belt to get to Sirius. So there's also some interesting connection with Orion and Sirius.
Wait, but I thought the Orion's belt was pointing to the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper?
No, you're thinking of Polaris is aimed at by the Big Dipper.
I got to twist it.
Yeah, so you follow the Big Bear, you can find Little Bear, Little Dipper. And what's fun too, doing my Star Talks, I always ask the international visitors what they call the constellations. The Germans, they call the Big Dipper the Grosswagen, the large wagon.
Sounds problematic.
The British call it the plow, and then of course the Spanish, the Italians, they call it the Ursa Major.
What do we call it?
We usually call it the Big Dipper because we're just looking at the butt.
The Big Dipper. They call it some sort of machinery.
Speaking of, we didn't find Pluto until we noticed a wobble in Uranus, but the Big Dipper.
I'm going through medical things right now.
Look,
it's not wobbly. I'm getting surgery. It'll be fun.
We're sending thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
The Big Dipper is essentially the butt of the bear. And if you follow the scoop down, yes, you're correct. If you follow those 2 points, they lead you to Polaris. The tail end of the Little Bear is the North Star. That's the fixed star. That's if you guys were to set your camera out and do a long exposure photograph, everything would spin around the North Star. Egypt is very similar to our night sky because we're around the same latitude, right? So we see these same stars that the Dogone people were seeing. Now, it begs the question of, did these people have incredibly great eyesight? Are they hunting and they're out there hunting and their eyes are darting around, they're looking at birds, they're looking for any tiny bit of movement to hunt? And is this why they're able to look up at the night sky and notice that Sirius is not just one star, that it's a binary thing? Like that's the huge mystery of the Dogone, is how did they know?
In the same vein, people ask, how did the Mayan know about the sunspots of the sun? Could they look at the sun? Did they have some kind of way to reflect the sun? It's just like we have old ancient civilizations that knew stuff that we couldn't figure out until we had telescopes, ultimately. So go on.
With shadows, and you know how you can look at an eclipse by looking at a shadow, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Like what do you call that device they have at the Griffith Observatory and also in Santa Monica? It's like
The pendulum or something
No,
else?
it's some slit. It's the slit telescope that you can see the sun.
yeah.
with.
You're like in a box. You're in a box, but there's something that's capturing light from outside and projecting it inside. I forget what they call that. But yeah, the technology of a telescope isn't that advanced. Essentially it's a mirror, it's glass.
the people that are trying to debunk the that the Dogon knew any of this stuff, because they claim they got this information from beings that were from there, and they were the
Yes.
teachers.
So yeah, the Dogon tell stories of these. What was it like frog people or fish people or something weird like that?
They would teach them during the day and then have to go back to the water at night. These teachers were amphibious.
So they're not actually extraterrestrial. They're aqua terrestrial. No, extra aqua restal.
If terrestrial is land, what would be aqua?
Extra aqua terrestrial.
EAs.
Extra aquians. Extra aquians. I got it.
Atlanteans.
Well, okay.
Right?
They tied up in mythology.
So they
Huh?
called these people, they called them the
Nomo.
Nomo. And the Nomo gave them astronomy, taught them about where they were from, which was Sirius, and that they arrived in a large whirlwind the day of the fish. To anybody trying to debunk this, they're like, oh, there was a group of astronomers that spent 5 weeks with the Dogon to watch an eclipse in 1893. And so those people probably told them about Sirius A and Sirius B. To debunk that, they have somebody within their hierarchy of knowledge called the Hogon. And the Hogon within the Dogone Tribe are kept from the society. You're not allowed to touch them because they don't want that person and their information to be influenced by what everybody else is learning about. They want to keep their universal knowledge true. And so they would not change their whole religion belief system because these French scientists told them about Sirius A and Sirius B. Their tribe operates in a way that they try to keep their information true.
So they traveled here in water?
That's their teachers.
Water storm? Yeah. But how did they travel from Sirius to Earth?
There are people explaining them getting here, where the star was like getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and then it stopped. And then a bunch of other stars came from that. So people think that they're describing a mothership that showed up, parked, all the little other ships came out of it, and then that's where the Nomo came from. Did you know about that account?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's actually a little different, and that's quite interesting. There's a book, Beyond the Blue Horizon, but this one, kind of similar to what you're talking about, is they say that Sirius used to be in the same position as our sun is right now, and that
wait, just for the idiot, I know so little about this. I'm not even sure how to ask the question. Sirius is not in our solar system, right? It's called a solar system because
it's not in our solar. Yeah, it's a solar system because of the sun. Our planets are going around
and
it.
we just have the 9 planets or whatever. Well, I was just gonna say, like, how would that work if
I'm at a loss too.
Okay.
I just found that to be an interesting quote from them, to the concept that Sirius used to be either in place of our sun or as close as our sun is, if there were 2 suns.
But couldn't it be?
But ties into what Willie is saying, is like, was this a spaceship that came close?
Wait, do you think that Sirius is a spaceship?
I don't think it's a spaceship, but I think it would be easy to confuse the light of a spaceship coming to Earth with a star, because as that light is drifting away, let's say like it didn't just zoom away and disappear. What if it drifted away very slow, like year by year, got further and further away? The people would then become more of a generational story passed on to the people little by little, as this thing is getting dimmer and dimmer, drifting away.
So you're saying that it was in our solar system when there were actual people, when there was recorded history?
That's an account that I read.
Okay.
That's crazy, because Sirius B, which we do not know much about or whatever, that like, because they know it's a white dwarf, for that star to be a white dwarf, it would have had to have exploded, right? According to our life and death of stars. Like
Our knowledge, yeah.
so maybe that explosion to make it Sirius B took it away. I don't know.
Interesting. Wade, are you familiar with Harry Potter books?
Not the books. I've
The
seen all the
movies?
movies, but I don't remember them.
There's a character in there named Sirius.
What's his deal?
Well, yeah, what's his power? What can he do?
He turns into a dog.
So for some reason, there's dog
Is that right?
associations. Yeah,
Did I
he
get it
turns into a
right?
dog. So
Oh.
his name is Sirius
I love it.
Black, kind of like Sirius B. He turns into a dog, but there's some dog associations with this star. And that begs the question of, to me, it drives me towards the idea of wolves. Coyotes are actually older than wolves. The Chumash of the Los Angeles area, the Native Americans that were native to Los Angeles area, they actually talk about the coyote constellation. And I think it's possible that they're talking about
Oh,
Sirius,
snap.
the dog star.
Here's where I have a problem with like the shared sort of like naming of constellations. Because when I look at a constellation, it looks nothing at all like what people are telling me it is.
You got to come see me because I use the laser pointer and I actually draw it for the people. And I was exactly like you, Wade, where I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But there he goes. He's got it right there on his screen.
Here's
That's a dog constellation. Like
I
this looks
know,
like a dog.
man.
And a lot of the apps that you use, they'll show you the Big Dipper, they'll show you Leo, they'll show you Scorpio. A lot of the apps don't even show you the dog constellation. It's as if they're trying to hide it from us.
Well, what does
But-
that mean? Why would they?
Because this is it's one of these almost like a talisman. Like there's power to it. This is what I'm getting at with the Michael Jordan thing, is they harnessed, I believe that the Chicago Bulls, Taurus, the Bulls, you get Taurus, then you get Orion, and then you get the dog is Orion's dog. The dog comes right after Orion. So they're all tied together. The bull, Orion, and the dog. I believe they harnessed the power by using this Alan Parsons project. Now, this song was recorded in 1981, 1982. But the album cover, wait, I see you laughing. The album cover, if you look at the album cover, it is the Eye of Ra. Okay, you have the Eye of Horus and you have the Eye of Ra. But they use the Eye of Ra, which associates with the sun. Remember, it's very important when Sirius lines up with the sun. This is July 23rd. The first time Michael Jordan ever appears on the cover of Sports Illustrated was July 23rd,
No.
1984. I swear to God, I just bought a copy of it today. I found it on eBay. The first time he ever appears, and people get this graded. They get it graded and they put it in the case and everything. I found a copy for like $30 on eBay because people don't even realize this is the first time he's on the cover of Sports
Dang
Illustrated.
it. Nice, dude. I'm going to go get one. Damn it.
The first time that he appears on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he's on the Chicago Bulls is 1986. And the tagline to that cover is "A Star is Born." I am not making this up. It says "A Star is Born." But the first time he's ever on the cover is before he was even signed to the NBA, before he was signed to the Bulls. He played in the Los Angeles Olympics, 1984. And there's a photo of him because they were trying to promote the Olympics and the basketball coming up. They released this July 23rd, 1984, and they used a photograph from the Olympic trials when he made the Olympic team. Michael Jordan won an Olympic gold medal before he even was signed to the Bulls. Now, when you wear an Olympic gold medal around your neck, it's kind of like that shiny, bright star around the neck of the dog star.
It's also, you could compare it to a collar, right? With
Yeah,
like
so-
the little tag.
So this is where I'm
with all
gonna
your information.
This is
on
where
it.
I'm going to aim the seal of the deal because I know we're running out of time right here. When I moved to Los Angeles, I was 18 years old. I didn't know what to do. I moved to North Hollywood. Nobody has smartphones. Nobody's looking up stuff to do. You would just go out. So I would ride the train down to Hollywood Highland and I would hang out and just walk around there. I was like, how do I learn, what's going on in this city?
Sure.
I hang out there. So are you familiar with the Hollywood Highland Mall?
I am now, but I think at that time it was non-existent, right?
They started creating it for what it has been in 2001.
Okay. So that's right when Willie and I moved out here.
Okay, so yeah, the Hollywood Highland Mall with like the big elephants. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're walking down Hollywood Boulevard and you got that weird staircase. Have you guys ever noticed that staircase is on a slant? Anybody with Google Maps
I don't
can
know
look
if
right
that's
now
true.
and they can see that the stairs are not going straight up into the mall. They're on this weird slant. So I went there. Since I've been doing this research on Sirius, I went back there and I was like, I got to walk through this mall. And I'm going to tell you guys why.
Uh-oh.
So when you walk into the Hollywood Highland Mall, you're going to go up the stairs. Now, I'm going to remind everybody too, this has been bought by a company called Ovation, right? And they removed the elephants recently and they like redid everything.
Oh, I didn't know they took the elephants out.
Yeah, no, these people don't know what they're doing. They're messing with history. So when you go up the stairs, you enter the mall and there's all these balconies that look out to the Hollywood sign. The original Hollywood sign was built in 1923 and it said Hollywood Land. And there's telescopes up there. You can put the quarter in the telescope. You can look at the Hollywood sign. So I walked up there. I went up there. I was like, okay, I got to see what this is all about. And I'm looking at the Hollywood sign. And then I turn around. The entire mall and the staircase is pointed directly to the El Capitan Theater, which the El Capitan Theater is directly next to where Jimmy Kimmel does his late night show. It's in a Masonic temple. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but if you look on the facade or the outer part of Jimmy Kimmel's building, it's a Masonic temple, and it says it very directly. But next to it is the El Capitan Theater. These are all built by the same guy who did Grauman's, Egyptian, Masonic Temple, El Capitan. Well,
did he make the Vista or not?
No, I don't think he did the Vista. That
Okay,
came later.
Cool.
That was Ed Wood's joint. But when you look back, you see El Capitan, which is El Capitan, El Chief, the captain. You look back and the marquee of the El Capitan is a big star. So then I got really curious. I checked all that out. I went back to LA another time and I started to wonder, well, whose star on the Walk of Fame is below the El Capitan
Michael Jordan
star? So I'm going to give you guys a couple hints. This blew my mind when I got over there. This guy, this star.
What year is this?
This was just a couple of years ago.
Okay. Because they changed those stars a lot.
They move them around, but I don't think this guy's going anywhere.
Okay.
Because this is a very sacred alignment. There is some kind of architectural alignment, because you guys have to consider that mall. That mall is modeled after the silent film Intolerance. D.W. Griffith made a film called Intolerance after he made Birth of a Nation. That was like his apology movie. So Birth of a Nation, they said
Birth of a Nation is classically racist. It's been like stricken from the archives. Like you're not allowed to watch it anymore. Intolerance, I'm guessing, is about intolerance, and
because he showed the KKK in Birth of a Nation, and this supposedly like fired up the KKK. So his apology movie was Intolerance, and Intolerance was supposed to show throughout the ages of how people didn't tolerate other cultures. Now, they made this giant wooden set. This would have been but where the Vista is, actually, Wade. So where Sunset meets Hollywood, that's where the studios were, where they built this set back in the 19-teens for Intolerance. It was big wooden set with big elephants.
The fucking giant one, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It was
epic.
Huge. I know about this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it stood there, and the wood stood there forever because they didn't want to tear it down. Ray Bradbury, the author, he grew up seeing this. And in 1984, he was interviewed the night before the 1984 Olympics, which Michael Jordan makes his debut and wins a gold medal. He was interviewed about the city of LA because he wrote all these dystopian future books. They asked him, what does this city need? He began consulting with the city of Los Angeles, Ray Bradbury. So they had him consult on malls. Ray Bradbury was the person behind the Hollywood Highland Center that was built in 2001. Because remember, Bradbury doesn't die until 2012. So it was his idea to model that mall after the Intolerance set and build a cement structure that would look like the old set that he used to see at Sunset in Hollywood. And it had these giant elephants, and it was essentially Ishtar's gate. The scene in the movie is displaying Babylon. Ishtar can absolutely be related to Sirius. again, I'm driving towards whose star on the Walk of Fame is sitting directly
Ray
aligned.
Bradbury. I feel like you gave it up. It's Ray Bradbury.
It's not Bradbury. It's not Michael Jordan. This guy was once the highest paid actor in Hollywood.
Tom Cruise. Give us
He's
an era.
known-
Just give us an era.
Jim Carrey, 23.
Is it fucking Jim Carrey? Better not be
the number
Jim Carrey.
23, Jim Carrey. That would be
Better
funny.
not be.
That's a whole other video too. I would love to do a podcast about the number 23. Okay, this guy, he so remember, Sirius marks Summers, right? It marks Summers when Sirius lines up with the
Is
sun.
it Mark Summers, the game show host?
Wait, come on. But Mark Summers, he got in a
What?
fight. Remember, you guys ever see this?
Yeah, with Burt
Leno clip?
Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
this is such a stretch,
Okay,
dude.
so no. Whose star is perfectly aligned with Ishtar's Gate and El Capitan Theater, and you look straight down, whose star is directly aligned?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. Now I
Right.
saw Burt Reynolds. I walked over there and I was disappointed. I was like, Burt Reynolds, this isn't what I wanted. But then I started to look in. I started to look into Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds has only done one Disney movie, right? So I'm like, why would Disney put his star directly under the El Capitan Theater? Because Disney runs the El Capitan.
The placement of the stars, or
Well, they run El Capitan, so I would think they have some influence on whose star is directly outside of their theater. And mind you, Disney was created in 1923. Their fan club is called D23, Dog 23. So
This is
why
too
Burt
much.
Reynolds? Why Burt Reynolds? Come
They
on, I'm
could-
so close, Willie. I'm so close to winning him over on the power of Sirius.
He's not in the Big Shaggy Dog. What's he in?
Burt
He's
Reynolds.
probably in like the fantastical fucking Dream Machine or some shit we've never heard of.
Burt Reynolds did a movie by an employee who left Disney, and he was one of the only people to go against Disney and try to start his own animation company. He had success with movies like The Land Before Time, Secret of the Nim, and then he has, what's that one about the rat who comes to America?
American
Fievel.
Tail.
Yeah. Finally, he makes a movie called All Dogs Go to Heaven, about a dog who dies, goes to heaven, and is reborn. Kind of like Sirius, disappearing for 40 days and being reborn. And who did the voice of that dog? That dog's name was Charlie B. Barkin, voiced by
Tom DeLuise.
it was the sidekick.
Oh, it was Burt Reynolds. Oh, I
Burt
didn't see it coming.
Mother effing Reynolds. He was a dog. He famously played a dog. Now it gets even better. I can't show this to your listeners, but anybody
They've got
yeah.
video if they want it. Just go
Okay.
to patreon.com/reallifescifi.
on the day that Burt Reynolds' star is laid in the Walk of Fame, I cannot make this up. On the day that his star is laid in the Walk of Fame,
This is
there is a
too much.
dog.
It's
There
just
is a-
too much.
There's a mother effing dog sitting on the star. I kid you not. Look up Burt Reynolds receiving a star on the Walk of Fame. There is a dog. There is some obsession with the dog star.
So what does this mean? Like, if you I've heard it all. Yeah, this is the end, right? Like, you've got it. You've said it.
Well, now we get into the fun part.
Well, how
what
do
is-
you apply it? Yeah, like
exactly
What's the
like what
application of
what
it?
is this obsession with dogs? People are freaking obsessed with dogs.
They're cute and they're fluffy and they're nice.
In All Dogs Go to Heaven, she says, all dogs go to heaven because they I can't directly quote it, but she says something like they know no bad, they're loyal and they only do good.
So if you tie it back to these aquatic beings who came from Sirius to tell, what are they called? The Dobers?
Dogone.
Dogon, dog on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh God. Well, how do you apply it? And we're like,
Because Hollywood creates magic. They create magic. That's what a movie is. A movie is
they
an
used to.
illusion.
They used to. Do you still believe in it?
This is why I am here tonight, my friends, because that mall was built by a company called Ovation in 2019, and they removed the elephants. They said the elephants were racist because of this D.W. Griffith thing, which they destroyed the Ishtar Gate. They essentially erased Ishtar's Gate. I don't think the people that bought that mall for $325 million, I don't think they realized what it was. I don't think they realized that Ray Bradbury, one of America's greatest sci-fi writers, was the person who consulted on that mall. They did tons of work to pour that concrete, to create those elephants, everything. And these mother effers came in and destroyed it starting in 2020.
Yeah, and I think we're done, right? We're done with society. Like this is why I envy you living in a shack that you built yourself. I not to be insulting, I just don't know what else to call it. A house, I guess.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I'll take a
like,
shack.
it's the end. This is the end, right? This is the
So-
end of the world.
And maybe that's why I'm so passionate about this. So too, I'm sharing this with you guys tonight, but you guys can imagine, I tell this story of Sirius. I tell the story of the Dog Days of Summer. I tell this over and over every week to new visitors. And one night I had a kid wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and they freaked out. The family got chills. There are things that we are losing. We're losing the connection to the night sky. Cities flush out the night sky light.
Yeah.
People don't realize the importance. People don't realize that our ancestors spent not thousands of years, not tens of thousands of years. Our ancestors possibly spent hundreds of thousands of years looking at this, researching this, connecting with this, getting in the groove with the night sky.
So doom and gloom is what it's over. It's over, right?
I'm
We're
not a doom
done.
and gloomer. I'm not a doom and gloomer. I'm here to reignite this. I think I want to sort of honor Ray Bradbury in the sense of I've just released this book and I have a lot of Easter eggs to Ray Bradbury in 2012 in there. And I think Ray Bradbury, on the eve of the 1984 Olympics, which Michael Jordan had his appearance at 23, Ray Bradbury did this interview and they asked him about LA and he said what's so special about LA is it's a collection of small towns and it's trying to merge into one big town, but it's not quite doing it. And I think ever since Ray Bradbury died in 2012, things are changing. People are forgetting these lessons that great writers, great architects, people have been trying to create things. You know, when you lay stone and you lay concrete, these are things that last for ages. This is why we can still look at the pyramids. The pyramids are 3 pyramids that they say relates almost directly to Orion's belt, the 3 wise men that lead you to the star in the east.
So what's the 3 wise men for Michael Jordan? I Scottie Pippen's definitely in there.
Can't say Luke Longley or Tony Kukoc, right? You have to go pre that.
Those guys are, yeah. Kukoc especially came on late. I don't know if you do. Who was the little point guard? Ron.
Steve Kerr.
No, black
BJ
guy. Ron,
Armstrong.
No,
Ron
Ron
Harper.
Pippen, Harper, and then give him a big one. Who's
Matt
the
Cartwright.
goggles?
Oh,
Who's the goggles?
Cartwright. Bill Cartwright.
No. He didn't have
Horace
goggles. There was
Grant.
another
Horace
one.
Grant.
Yes,
Sorry.
I would
Horace
do
Grant.
Horace Grant. I would do those 3.
Can I, if you don't have chills yet, so this one's actually really sad.
Okay, do it the quickest way possible.
I was drawn into this number 23 stuff. If you look up Jordans, the shoes, there is a shoe. There's a blue color on the Jordans. I think this was 2011, the Jordan 7s.
Was it the UNC one?
They call it Orion Blue. Orion Blue. So what if Jordan is the jump man? What if Jordan is Orion, this big thing that's jumping through the night sky every night? He points to Sirius.
Oh, fuck.
What?
That's pretty cool.
Wait. Hang on. No, you lost me. What do you mean? Who's the jump man?
That's what they call Jordan, jump man.
No, I know, but how does that?
Orion. So Orion is the most prominent constellation that they relate to a person. Every other constellation is like Leo,
so you're
the
putting
lion.
Jordan in instead of an arrow, it's jump man.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
He's freaking jumping across the sky like Jordan would do these dunks from the foul line.
Dude, I will say, what a cool thing to do to redo all of the constellations with modern things, right? Jumpman,
Right, that-
there's got to be a Bart Simpson, like where his head matches up.
Cassiopeia could be Bart Simpson with the zigzags.
Yeah.
It is a question of like, how do we get younger generations interested in the night sky again?
I mean, and you came on the right show because this is contemporary mythology. So this is just like updating mythology that we already have, right? So like it would be fun to do like like a current version of astrology with idols.
Mark.
Have
you guys
Mark
watched
Summers
that?
was like a footnote in your story though. He was like barely.
But
he barely
Sirius,
existed.
what does Sirius do? It marks Summers. Nothing got Burt Reynolds more heated than Mark Summers.
The dog days of Reynolds.
if you don't know what we're talking about, do yourself a favor. Go on YouTube, look up Mark Summers, Burt Reynolds,
Jay Leno. Yeah.
Was it Leno? It was Leno.
It was on Leno. Yeah, it was on Leno, and
I thought
Mark
it was
Summers.
Carson.
No, it was Leno. Burt Reynolds
Okay.
used to go on Carson a lot, but this happened on Leno, and it was sort of, that essentially was the demise of Burt Reynolds. He was a fading star. He was the brightest star in Hollywood. Now he was starting to fade. He was going through a divorce, and that's why he was so heated in the first place.
But then P.T. Anderson came along and fucking put him in Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he had to ask him 8 times. It was on the 8th time that he finally agreed to it.
What does that mean? What is 8?
I just know weird things. I'm a numbers guy. Burt Reynolds actually turned down the role of John McClane in Die Hard. He turned down Han Solo.
That's fine. These movies wouldn't have been what they are if Burt Reynolds was in them.
Which goes all the way back to simulation theory. Does everything happen for a reason?
Right.
Chewie baby, get us out of here.
With a mustache.
It's just Dom, but it's Dom DeLuise. Chewie is now a fucking midget.
Chewie's just laughing.
Now,
we're going to continue the conversation with Krocky here. Go to patreon.com/reallifescifi to hear more of this insane man and all of his fucking Charlie
and follow
Day.
me. Hey, follow me. Krocky Meshkin, Instagram, Krocky Meshkin, TikTok.
If you have a serious story, you can email us at wadeandwilly@gmail.com.
Oh,
let's
wow.
put it all together. Let's find all the serious worship around America.
Thank you so much for listening. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/reallifescifi. We've got a Discord that you can find. Once again, stick around to listen to the continuation of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to
Krocky
tell you
Meshkin.
guys. I'm going to tell you guys the thing I didn't tell you yet. There's another thing.
Cliffhanger. So now you have to pay. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Krocky.
Real life sci-fi.
Dog star.